The Minnesota chapter of the American Civil Liberties Union is now taking legal action against the federal government. The nonprofit announced a new class action lawsuit just this morning. The case is on behalf of 3 Minnesotans, 2 Somali men and 1 Latino man. ACLU says constitutional rights were violated by ICE and other federal agents in their cases. The lawsuit is pointing to Fourth Amendment rights, saying that ICE is racially profiling and seizing people unlawfully. One of the plaintiffs included in the lawsuit said he was arrested by ICE while walking to lunch. According to the suit, he was arrested, taken to the Whipple building and held in detention. And the suit alleges no one looked at his passport until after the arrest.
People should not fear going to work, to school, to the grocery store, to the hospital, to their house of worship, or anywhere in our wonderful state. The only way to stop this is for people to stand up for their rights.
The suit was filed this morning in the Federal District Court of Minnesota. Officials with ACLU hope to have a judge assigned to the case next week. Then dates will be set for a briefing and hearing.